couple of people jump on. Man, it's been a while since I've done a Frothy Friday via live real time. Yeah, let me know what you guys think of this format, because I used to do this a lot. This is actually how I got started. Going to wait for a few people to jump on. Basically, the way this works is that if any of you guys have any questions for me that you'd like me to answer on stream, let me know. But today's video, we're just basically going to talk about 2022 as a year and how it's been for me, a bit of reflection, and then a bit of a sort of thoughts and plan on what's happening next year. So guys, if you have any questions or you want to jump on stream, just let me know. This is going to be pretty fluid. We're only going to go for about an hour. It's getting a bit late here. Here he is, Big Will, man. How are you, brother? As you can see, this is the first time I've done this live in a while. So good to see you, Will. Will's a super fan. Yeah, hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully your shed business is doing well. And Merry Christmas to you too, mate. Thank you for jumping on the stream. So let's get straight into it. So so today, like I said, I'm going to talk about a bit of a reflection on 2022 for me here at My Online Guy and the team, and then a bit of 2023 and what our actual plans are for next year. So 2022 for me, and leave comments in the chat, say good day, say Merry Christmas. If you want to jump on and talk about your 2022, you're welcome to do that too. But let's talk about my 2022 and how that's been. There's 7 days left, a week left pretty much. So I can basically call it a pin down. So let's talk about some of the good things that happened and some of the positives. Well, one of the big positives, personal positives, is I got back into the gym. So, I started the year pretty slow when it came to the gym, put on several kilos after Christmas. In June, I sort of said, no, it's time to start going again. So I've been managing to consistently go anywhere between 2 and 5 days a week for about 5 months now. So I've been pretty happy. Even days where I didn't feel like going, I still managed to do a couple of times a week. Just doing weights, the cardio side is something I need to work on, but the weights, I put on a couple of kilos of muscle, put on 2 kilos of muscle and lost a couple of kilos of fat, but just basically stayed the same way pretty much. But when you do like the measurements, body reacted well to the new style of training, which is really good, which is a lot more conditioning training as opposed to just pumping heavy weights all the time. So that's been really good, flipping tires and skipping and things like that. So that's been really good. And also another thing I was super proud of this year is Christmas was pretty rough on me from a liver perspective. I drank a heap last Christmas. So I made the decision in January, pretty much early January. As a friend of mine mentioned that they were trying for a baby and he was off the booze. And I was like, actually, I'm going to try and go a month without drinking. And that had probably been the first month. That had been the first time in a very long time, probably 15 years, where I haven't drank in a month. So I was like, oh, maybe I'm becoming an alcoholic. So I gave, which was supposed to be for a month, January to February, and did a month. And I said, might as well, I don't feel like drinking now. So I went 10 months pretty much. I drank in the trip to New York. I had when I went to the Philippines, had a drink, and then I've had one drink since I've been back. So yeah, I've had 1 day of drinking in basically 12 months. So I was pretty happy about that. I wasn't really doing it for any other reason except that my Pauline doesn't drink either, really. So there was no reason to start drinking again. So I was pretty proud of myself to get that far in. And now, I don't even feel like drinking anymore. I just have a drink every now and again if it's if it's around and I feel like it. But yeah, I've managed to stay off the booze for almost a year now, which is pretty amazing for me, considering, like I said, I hadn't not drank weekly in like 15 years. So, it was a big month I did it. That January month, I had genuine withdrawals like you would have if you'd been taking drugs. I had headaches. I had sweats. I had the lot. After about a month, it got really well. And I would encourage anyone that's thinking of taking a month off the booze to really give it a crack. It's been good. from a health perspective, I haven't really seen huge amounts of changes, as in like my weight or anything like that. But just general health and well-being, I suppose, not being able to managing to go without drinking is a pretty good thing. So yeah, that's been really good. So that's personal life. Besides that, not really much else has happened from a personal perspective. Just family's grown. The kids have gotten older. I've gotten older. Pauline's gotten older. So from a personal perspective, pretty much this business as usual. What's not business as usual is the business itself. So this has been a really, really crazy year for my online guy. We went through 5. Here we go. Will said, "Nice work, dude." Nice work, dude. Same here. I think it's maybe 5 hangovers since COVID 2020. Not easy to do when your family is all pissheads and raised in that atmosphere. Never looking back. Dry 2023. Come on. Yeah, man. It's same with me. Like, it was pretty hard. I had several occasions where everyone around me was drinking, to the point where we attended several events that were free drinks. And that was real hard when, you got free cocktails, and I'm the bargain bloke. I like a good bargain. So I'm like, oh, I could go a cocktail because they're free. I decided not to. And I made that as a conscious decision, as opposed to being like, something. It was like, no, actually, I don't feel like drinking. So yeah, I feel you will. Try 2023. Strategically, another thing we're going to do is, next year I'm probably not going to be drinking either, because it's all very expensive to drink in some countries in Asia. Some countries are incredibly cheap, some are expensive. So I want to make sure that I can choose where I drink next year if I do decide to. So talking about the business. So 2023 was a crazy year for my online guy. Crazy year from a growth perspective. The first 3 quarters of the year, we grew fast and we grew quick. We hired several people. We did some huge volume, but it's probably been the hardest year from a work perspective in a very, very long time for me, Pauline as well. We've had several conversations about this, and it's a big myth out there. But it's not easy running a large agency. We got to the point where we had 15 people, and it's not easy running an agency that size. Oh my God. Hello. How are you? Thank you for jumping on. Rianish, thank you. Rianish, thank you for jumping on. Merry Christmas to you, buddy. And if you have any questions, just let me know. I'll answer them in the chat. This is, I'm sitting here at home. So normally I'm in the office, but I'm at home at the moment. So I was just talking about how difficult it is running an incredibly large agency. I'm sure there's agencies out there that are a lot bigger, but how hard it is to run a large agency and the stress that causes. And a lot of that stress comes down to maybe we could have done things better. We had a lack of processes. We have, we grew too fast. This is what I explain to people is like, in the last 3 years, we've grown from pretty much 0 or 4 years. We went from 0 to doing 7 figures. And that's a quick growth trajectory. And everyone's like, oh, why don't you have processes? Processes make it easier. When you're just delivering work, it's very hard to find time to do the processes as well. And we had processes. We have several processes. Here we go. I have an Indian accent. Do you think I can be good at cold calling? Yeah. It depends what country. Okay, so this is a good question. I'll talk about my online guy after I answer this question. This is a great question. I have an Indian accent. Do you think I can be good at cold calling? Yeah, I think so. Like, I think you have obviously the barrier, the location-based barrier. An Indian accent. People, unfortunately, for better or worse, there's a cohort of people that feel like you are scamming people, which you're clearly not. If you're watching me, you're OG, you're legit. So if you have an Indian accent, you can definitely be good at cold calling. I think it's really a lot about how you say things and not what you say. So there's plenty of very, very highly successful salespeople with an Indian accent, and you just niche down and target a very specific subset of audience. I know for a fact, I can guarantee for a fact that there's a lot of Indians that run very successful businesses in first world countries, things like in Australia and America. things like that. There's plenty of successful Indian entrepreneurs. Maybe you can stick to your home plate advantage because you will have a lot better results than I will. You know, if you're able to pick up the phone and speak to an Indian that's been living in Australia for 15, 20 years and speak to them and they feel comfortable with you, you're going to get a lot better outcomes than someone like myself. So maybe you play to your strengths and don't look at the Indian accent as a weakness. You look at the Indian accent as a strength, because I guarantee you, there's plenty of Aussies out there that will hear you speaking in an Indian accent and hang up the phone. And, you know, we can sugarcoat that, but it's life. You know, it is what it is. But I wouldn't stop that shouldn't stop you from wanting to get better at sales. I would just recommend that you target a niche that you have the home plate advantage with, and use that weakness that you see as a weakness to be your strength. Is what I would suggest. And there's plenty of ways to find these businesses with Indian owners with Indian heritage or Indian entrepreneurs in first world countries. I would just target those because they follow the same lifestyle as every other Australian or American and everything like that. But you'll have that instant connection with them that they may not get with someone like myself. So that would be my answer to that question. Okay, so two-piece John Jones, amazing, bro. The growth of the channel has been amazing. Every video is getting better and last. But I want to ask, is it hard coming up with video ideas? Dude, firstly, thank you for jumping on. I was hoping we'd get some OGs in the chat. Two-piece on the YouTube channel, it means there's a cohort of you guys. There's like 6 or 7 of you that comment on every video, that like every video. You guys are the reason I make the videos. Honestly, I don't care about the people that join, and just sort of fleeting and subscribe. You guys that are actually engaging with me, it makes me feel like the videos have a reason to exist. And I appreciate you noticing that the quality is getting better. It's hard slog. We've gone from 40 to 350 subs. That has been the hardest I've worked in a very long time. And it's for arguably no ROI. Like, I'm not making any money or anything. I'm doing it because I want to try and grow the channel and provide some value. Now, to answer your question, is it hard to come up with video ideas? Not really, actually. So what I've done, if anyone's curious to know, is I've created like an avatar of my ideal subscriber on YouTube, right? And his name's Brad. Basically someone like myself, that's working 9 to 5, that maybe with commitments and family, and it doesn't have to be everyone in that niche, because that there's plenty of people that enjoy that kind of content. But I look at myself 3-4 years ago, and this is the kind of content that I would consume. So what I've done is I've just been following that have similar content that I used to watch. And I have been just sort of looking at how they're doing. And what I think the reason the content is getting better is because I've started putting a little more effort into thinking about what someone actually wants to listen to, as opposed to just rambling on my thoughts. If you watch several of the first live streams that I ever did, it's just my thoughts. And that's fine. But there's a lot of people out there that don't necessarily want to hear me talk, ramble on. They want to get content and information. So that's all I've been doing, is I've just been like Chat GPT right now, right? Like, I did research on that. I did my own research on that, and I thought actually there's a lot of people that would like to learn about that. So I gathered my thoughts, made it for Friday, cut that. And then I've also got 2 other videos coming up, which on how to use Chat GPT and these AI tools, how to use it, like a little series, and then also how to make money with them. So there's 3 videos right there, and it's just that. The hardest thing I'm coming up against is coming up. So like long form video content is not an issue because I can talk nonstop pretty much. The short form content is the bit that I'm trying to crack. That bit's not easy. And you can see I've started experimenting with different styles of real like TikTok-y short form video just to get eyeballs. And I'm having a bit of fun now. As when my first videos came out, I did just basic stuff. Just repeating back my stuff, trying to create informational. Now you can see the stuff I'm creating now is short, snappy, tongue in cheek, because I don't really care what people think of me. So if I do something that is a little bit cheesy or whatever, I don't care. It's not going to faze me, right? So, Two Piece, man, thanks for being an OG of the channel and your support. I'm going to go and answer that question now. But if you have any more questions, just leave them in the chat. If you want to jump on, if any of you guys want to jump on and have a chat with me, just let me know and I'll send you a link to be able to jump in the chat. Glenn, dude, how are you, man? I really missed seeing you at the DMA. Got to see Eric and the team. Glenn, you're an absolute legend. I've got a lot of time for you, mate. And, hopefully Ireland's treating you well. And you and the kid and the family are doing well over there. If you ever want to learn how to sell and how to network, Glenn is the dude to speak to. Thanks for jumping on. Hopefully you have a good Christmas. You and the family stay safe over the new year. And then we got Will again. Will, know your area that you're calling. Know the name local institutions that build into the script. Dude, that's a secret. Don't tell everyone. Building the script, as it can be hard with an accent, but if you show, local people will listen. It takes this. That's a great point. It takes almost no time to do cursory research on the area that you're doing it. So like if I was calling up businesses in Mandurah, my local area, I'd know that the Estuaries, I know that the Giants. So that, like I'd be calling them and break the ice and be like, oh, have you taken the kids to see the Giants yet? Someone will give you the time of day if you show a little bit of empathy and you make that connect with them, or you go, how's Peel Thunder doing at the moment? It's subtle things. It shows that you care. The local area. It shows that, and then that kind of implies that you work with other businesses there. It shows that you like sport. It shows that you. Great advice there, Will. So know the area that you're calling. Take 5 minutes to learn about the area, and then use that to your advantage to break the ice. And then we got Rianash here. Thank you for answering my question. Definitely needed an authoritative figure to believe in the facts that it works. Dude, I tell you what, let's put it this way. Let's say the roles were reversed and you were me and I were you. What I would be doing is I would be the digital marketing agency and the sales dude or whatever, whatever you're selling. I would be that guy for my niche, which is like, and I would go, and look, I call a spade, right? We can tiptoe around the bush and say that people don't actually, won't actually judge you based on your accent, but they will. And if you're not honest and pragmatic about that, then someone that will be. So I would do everything I can and work around speaking to Indian business owners, because once you do good work for a couple of them, you're going to have all the work you can handle. Trust me when I say the reason a lot of clients deal with me, if you look at the clients we have, a lot of them are pretty much the same as me. Everyone has a tribe. Everyone wants to connect with people that are similar to them in value and in principles. And if you're Indian, if you have an Indian heritage and you're talking to an entrepreneur that's successful over here in Australia, that's an Indian, you have a connection in value and principles, and you know what they've been through and they know what you've been through. So it immediately gives you a competitive advantage in the market. So that's what I would be doing personally. And I can tell you it's probably a very underserviced area. And if it is serviced, it's probably serviced by a big agency. So you only have to cut through a bit of the noise to really, really do well. Then we have, I screen recorded it and I remember rewatching it, reminding myself I could change my negative beliefs. Dude, everything in life is perception and beliefs. It's so funny. Me and the boys, we entered a competition in the radio today. Like this week, it was like a riddle, and we got the right answer, and we went onto the draw to win some heel skates for the boys. Right, negligible price for me, but the boys were super excited. They got to go on the radio and talk on the radio. I kind of said to myself, "I'm going to win this. We're going to win this." And obviously, it's a 1 in 5 chance. Only 5 people called up, but we won it. It's an interesting perspective. This beliefs are so important and they're so freaking powerful. People don't put enough emphasis on how important your beliefs and your beliefs in yourself are. If I'm feeling negative about myself, generally the things around me will be negative. And if I'm feeling positive and optimistic about myself, doors just seem to open. And it's been like that my whole life. And everyone knows what I'm talking about. This whole saying, when it rains, it pours. A lot of that is because of, self-fulfilling negative beliefs manifesting on themselves, and your outlook changes and the things you look at change. When you have self-limiting beliefs that are negative, it can do that. Whereas if you have positive outlooks and you're optimistic about the future and stuff, you tend to notice things that align with that thought process. I've been on this. I've done a video in the past. This is about a year ago. I did a video in the past about luck. And just before I continue, another OG, dude, you are the first. Thank you so much for jumping on and saying hello, Haru. It means a lot to me. Leave any questions that you have, and it's nice to finally talk to you live. So if you got any questions, let me know. But I'll get back to this question here. So I made a video about this about 2 years ago. About someone triggered me by saying, "Oh, Jimmy, you got so lucky. How you got very lucky starting your agency and getting the initial traction." Pissing me off when people say that luck has a part to play with that. Yes, okay, luck is a real thing. All luck is a honed-in ability to see opportunities that other people don't. So the best example of this is what Zappos, which is an e-commerce store, does to find staff. They basically give everyone a magazine in their hiring process, right? And it's what they're trying to determine is how lucky someone perceives themselves to be. So they give you a book, right? They give you a magazine that's been made by Zappos, and the person that's doing the interviews there's like 10 people in the room and goes, "Okay, we'll count how many pictures are in this magazine," and it's there to determine luck. So everyone flips open their book, and 1 in 10 people will like look at the first page and close the book. Everyone else is manually counting the pictures. The first image in that book says that there's 32 images and you don't have to read the rest of this. So people that naturally perceive themselves as lucky are just more, in that case, are just more open to opportunities. So they see that, they actually see the picture and they read it. Whereas the people that consider themselves unlucky go, "Oh, I have to look at all these photos," and they start smashing. Yeah, luck is it's a self-limiting belief. If you go, "I'm lucky," it's like, no, you're manufacturing that through your ability to see opportunities. So you need to practice and get better at seeing opportunities. The way you do that is by learning and reading and understanding what opportunities actually are and what opportunities are available. So like AI, for instance, Chat GPT and OpenAI is an opportunity for those who understand the opportunity. It's actually an opportunity. So there's a whole cohort of marketers right now that are like, "No, I'm never going to do AI. It's the worst thing to happen. There's plenty." Then there's a cohort of people that are like, "Actually, I'm going to dive really deep in this to see if it's an opportunity. And if it's an opportunity, I'm going to take advantage of that opportunity." And they're the ones that are going to run these new style of agencies that are based around AI hybrids. And everyone's going to be, "Oh, you're lucky you discovered that. You're lucky you discovered that." And when actually it was their ability to see an opportunity better than someone else. Same with crypto. These people that got into crypto in 2016 and 15 and stuff when, Bitcoin was cents on the dollar or, a couple of dollars, they were able to see an opportunity that other people weren't. And that's a really big thing. So Red Star, you have my full support. Thank you, man. Everyone be like Haru. He was literally the first person that started commenting on every video. The dude's an absolute mensch. We talk on Instagram. Love the guy. Thank you for your support. And I really appreciate you being on, and have a good Christmas, my friend. And then Will says, "Luck is 10 years of grinding and then finding your lane after failing multiple times." Dude, you've given a sneak peek into the next millionaire video. The next millionaire video is on patience and persistence. Because I watched all these interviews and almost every single one is an overnight success until you ask them, and they spend 10 years, 15 years developing a skill, and then they become the person they are today. So you got to remember, right? Like, I'm lucky as is perceived by others. But, I spent 10 years in the Navy. I spent 10 years in agriculture. I ran a team of 20 people before I started this. So I opportunities and I perceive risk a lot differently because I've had a lot of experience. So what looks like, just coming into the marketing space and taking over is actually like a series of events that has allowed me to take advantage of the opportunity. So 100%. So I've got Casey here. Casey, thank you so much for jumping on the stream. Really appreciate your support. I've been seeing you around, and I think you should have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And anything I can do to help with that, let me know. So I'm thinking of starting a YouTube channel about reselling, but I'm very shy. Do you have any recommendations about starting and being okay with talking in front of a camera? Cheers. I do. It's an interesting question. I think there's a lot of people that struggle with this, right? There's two things here, right? So full disclosure, I've never been uncomfortable talking in front of a camera. I'm talking to myself. I was talking to a speech coach the other day because I've got a big talk coming up in March, and I want to smash it out of the park. It's a national conference that I'm talking at, so hired a speech coach, and she said that the biggest thing that stops people from being comfortable in front of a camera or comfortable in front of talking to other people is they hate the sound of their own voice. And for better or worse, I actually quite like the sound of my own voice. And that sounds arrogant and it sounds whatever, but it's the truth. Like, the reason I'm on camera so much is I don't not like my own voice. Where there's a lot of people that hear themselves talk and go, "Oh, I sound like crap. I hate myself. I hate the way I sound." So that's the first thing. I think it's an internal thing. You need to be comfortable with internal monologues and expressing internal monologues. So we all have these internal monologues. I'm a chatty dude, so I'm always talking. So I'm always expressing my thoughts. But you may be someone that doesn't express their thoughts verbally as much. What you need to do, and this is what I would recommend anyone that's not comfortable in front of a camera, is start recording yourself talking through reselling. Not to put on YouTube, just get comfortable doing it. Do it once a day. Do it once a day for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Just go, hi, Jimmy, it's Jimmy, and I'm going to teach you how to list something on eBay. Just record yourself doing it. Record yourself talking to yourself, and then force yourself to listen back to it. Do that for a month. If you did that every day for a month, all you have to do then is hit record and put it on YouTube. The first videos you make are going to suck. Seriously, like if you go back to 2019 and look at some of the live streams I did at the very start, and you look at how I talk now versus how I talked then, I talk completely differently. Because you got to remember, I've probably said on camera now a couple of million words. So like over a couple of million words, you just get progressively better. It's like hitting a baseball, often enough. If you shoot hoops for long enough, you'll get good at shooting hoops. It's the same thing. You've just got to practice it, Casey. You just got to get on there, talk to yourself, spend the first month, throw away that content. But spend the first month talking to yourself just record it with a Loom. And then once you feel comfortable, hit record, post it up there. The beauty about starting a new channel is no one's going to watch it anyway for the first 50 videos. No one's going to watch. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You just get comfortable talking in front of the camera, then hit record. And then as you start to get more comfortable, you can start to get more complex with the topics you talk about. That's how you start to grow these things. So that would be my suggestion, Casey. Easy for me to say, someone that's comfortable talking in front of a camera, but just think about internal monologues and you're having a monologue to yourself. That's all I do when I record. So we got Ellis Retro. Thank you with the big thumbs up. Hopefully you have a good Christmas, and thank you for jumping onto the live stream. So we got Harold here. Do you think if AI or robots are a goldmine in the future, do you think that AI or robots are a goldmine in the future for investors or for companies? Yeah, I think so. I think there's a layer. It's like Bitcoin and crypto, right? You have a layer of utility, which is the coins themselves, and then you have the technology, which is blockchain and that kind of technology. It's the same here. You have the utility of the stuff, and then you have the actual underlying technology. So, the utility of AI is, in our case as marketers, is like AI content writing. It might be designing websites. It might be graphics. That's the utility. The actual technology of OpenAI and GPT itself is the underlying technology. So if I was going to invest in a company, I would invest in the technology, which is OpenAI. And that's what I think Google's going to do, because then the utility doesn't matter. It's like if you invested in blockchain as a principle and it doesn't matter the utility you stack on top of it. So that's what I would suggest, is just invest in. I think it is the future. I think there's going to be significant changes, and the growth of this stuff is only going to get exponential as more adoption happens. I would be investing in the OpenAI and not Chat GPT, for instance, because it takes one competitor to completely destroy that Chat GPT, and the next thing pops up. So Casey, love the channel, by the way. Thank you so much. Hopefully providing a bit of value. And then we got Ranesh, you got to do more live streams. To be fair, the Frothy Fridays were a live stream for about 2 years. I just had no one tuning in. I spent the first 50 Frothy Fridays talking to myself. So, look, if people are enjoying me jumping on and talking in real time, I'll do more of these kind of live streams. I enjoy them. So if we get some traction, I'll jump on. It might be once a month, it might be once every couple of weeks, but I'm happy to do it. I'll just do it at this time of night at home. I'm going to have some interesting locations as of next year, so might be definitely worth doing. But yeah, if you're enjoying it, why not? Self-improvement, dude. And thank you so much for your support of the channel. Another OG, another absolute mensch, commenting on every video, positive, negative, doesn't matter. I appreciate the support. I appreciate you to support me, because it's a pretty thankless job creating these YouTube videos. So I'm appreciate people like yourself and the others, Haru and Two Piece are enjoying it. So love the content, man. Honestly, very hard to get value from YouTube nowadays unless it's entertainment, but appreciate your videos. Oh, I thank you so much. I appreciate the kind words. I'm not a funny dude, so I could try and do entertaining videos, but it's not really me. I just like imparting knowledge that I know, and if there's some value in that, and if it can help someone improve their life and make more money, I'll continue. Like some of the topics I talk about, I look at some of people's other videos and go, man, they're just so much better, either better at it than me, or their production value is better, or whatever. But lane, I'm not doing this to make money, really. No, I'm not doing it to make money, because that's so far off. I've got an agency. I've got an income stream. I've just gotten the time now to actually go, well, I've learned a lot over the last 20 years. Why not share some of it with people that are willing to learn? I've always carried that philosophy. If someone is willing to learn, I am willing to teach. The day they're not willing to learn is the day I'll stop teaching. And I've got a couple of people that I informally mentor, and that's the reason, is they want to learn, and I'm willing to show them. So I've got a question here. How do you structure a routine, and what should you take into account when setting a baseline? Good question. So I'm not the best to talk about routine, because I've got ADHD, and that really does affect my ability to create routines. But you structure a routine around what you want to achieve, right? So let's say, for instance, you want to grow a 7-figure marketing agency. Let's just say that hypothetically. Well, you need to structure your routine in your day, prioritizing that over everything else. So, if you have 8 hours in a day to work, then you need to spend a significant portion of that growing to 7 figures, because that is the goal. And that's that incremental thing I talked about in the Millionaires video. It's that incremental actions towards doing that. So what should take into account setting baseline? I think one thing you need to take into account is that you're not a robot. So your routine is never going to stay regimented, unless you are a regimented person. So, when I was in the military and I was in the Navy, and, I would have to make sure I was there at 9 o'clock in the morning, because if I wasn't, then I could get in serious trouble. So that's like a hard baseline, right? And if you do that for 10 years, you start to get good at that kind of thing. And it's the same here. It's like you need to be honest and pragmatic. What I would suggest you do, if you want to set a baseline, which I think is a really good thing to do, is just document without bias everything you do in a week. So the time you start work, what you do during the day, time you finish, when you go to the gym, document that stuff for a week. See where that sits, and then go, okay, well, the person I want to be in 12, 18 months or 2 years or 5 years, Are they a person that gets up at 10 in the morning and procrastinates for 5 hours during the day and then doesn't go? May not be. Okay, well, then we need to go from the person that we are now to the person we want to be. So with me, right, the gym. Gym is a very, very good example. So I had to, I'm a busy guy during the day. I've got kids and wife and commitments. I have to try and fit the gym 4 times a week into that schedule somehow. So I was trying to go after. I went, okay, well, I'll go between 4 and 5 o'clock or 5 and 6 o'clock. Did that for a couple of weeks. And then I was like, actually, that's not fair on my wife who wants to go to the gym as well. She can only go at 4 and 5 because the classes are there. So it's like, okay, well, I have to adjust my routine based around external factors, which is my wife wants to get fit too. More power to her. I want to make sure she gets fit as well. So I went, okay, well, why don't I actually start going at 1 o'clock in the afternoon to 2, because that's when I fade anyway. And when I looked at what I did during the day, I was never productive then anyway, because I'd just eaten lunch or whatever. I didn't want to do any work. I was procrastinating. I was doing crap that I wasn't warranted anyway. To it is. So I started doing that. I made sure at the start I did it for 21 days straight, just to build the the habit. Then life started getting in the way. I'm going, okay, well, actually, I've got to work. I've got to do this. I just went, okay, well, I can't not go. If I need to do 4 days a week, I've got to go at this time. And so I started structuring everything around that. So my routine developed around that baseline of me wanting to go 4 days a week. Don't know if that helps with the answer, but I feel like it's something that everyone needs to take into account. So Casey goes, thanks, man. Good advice. Definitely going to do that. Do it. Trust me. Trust me when I say that it will make you way more comfortable. Casey, if you're still in the chat, give us a date. Give us a date on when you want to start the channel. I will hold you personally accountable to that. I love being held accountable to things, and you should want to be held accountable too. So let us know if you've got a date there. Okay, so how are you utilizing analytics as an ontology to drive your business decisions in 2023? Okay, I'm going to have to Google what that word is. I have no idea what that word is. A branch. What is it? Okay, I don't know what that word is. How are you using analytics to drive your business decisions? Okay, Will, I'm not sure what that word is, but basically, I'm going to use this question to segue into what's happening next year with my online guy, because I'm simultaneously shitting myself and simultaneously very excited. So using analytics to drive business decisions is something I need to get better with. For the first couple of years, it was all gut instinct. Then, financial plays into it, financial analytics, but a lot of my decisions were based on gut. In 2022, I made a big conscious effort to go, I can't make decisions on my gut anymore because too many people's livelihoods depend on the decisions being right. So I started using data, started using things like revenue per head, started using utilization rates, labor rates to work out how many people we needed in the business, started to work out the profit margins on specific sub-services to work out if we could afford the amount of people that we have. Because in an agency, your biggest single cost is always going to be labor. So you need to make sure cost of your labor and make that as efficient as possible. Then you can be less efficient in other areas like subscriptions and stuff like that. Because if you're controlling 80% of your expenses properly, then the other 20% is less important. So it's like, where's the best return on time? So, let's talk about what's happening next year, and then I'll wheel back to the question. So I have made a big part of the team redundant. So I am a liar now, officially a liar. We are not a 7-figure agency anymore. We are earning significantly less right now. Our revenues probably dropped 60%, but that has been by design, to be fair. So that's by design. Casey, what date we got? 25th of January, 2023. Beautiful. Send me your first video. I will make a note of that. And I'm going to ping you on the 25th going, where's my video? Where's my first video? So I can be your first subscriber and I can leave you your first comment and like, and we'll all send you some love. So look forward to that. And I love reselling too. So, we're kindred spirits there. So I'm probably going to learn a lot. But let's talk about the agency again for a sec. So, my wife and I made the decision in about August to downsize the agency significantly, and there was a number of factors. That came into play there, mainly because it's so hard to run a large agency. And Pauline and I next year are going traveling. As of February next year, we are heading overseas, and we're doing 12 months traveling with the kids through. So we were really getting concerned that we're going to be running a 7-figure agency that's wholly and solely dependent on us being at the office remotely. And the business wasn't structured that we didn't have enough time. So there's a number of factors that played into why we decided to get smaller. So for context, like I said, we let several people, we've let several people go, made them redundant, gave everyone 6-week notice, 5 weeks notice. It wasn't just an instantaneous thing. Did try to do the best thing we could by people. But yeah, we let, there's only 4 of us now. So you got me, Pauline, Cam in the office, and Diane. So went from 14 to 4. So over the space of a year, we let 10 people go. So let's talk about why we did that and what the plan is next year. So I looked at a lot of the service offerings that we do because we're a full service marketing agency. So we do everything from Google Ads, Facebook Ads, SEO, websites, social media, email marketing, basically anything that we had the internal skills to do, we did. The problem with that is that the margins, because you need labor, you need people. Basically, for every one of those services, you need people that can do it. So we were running pretty lean margins, which is not an issue when you're growing exponentially. We're growing like 50 to 100% a year. So it's not an issue from a revenue perspective. We were profitable. We were paying ourselves. We were paying our staff. We never missed any expense bills. But we are going into 2023. And I've spoken to several people about this, and I've watched a lot of videos, and I've spoken in videos about this, right? 2023 is going to be a rocky year, in my opinion. And I told everyone that I wasn't going to rely on gut, but a lot of this was part of that. 2023 is not going to be an easy year for anyone. And I know there's people that will disagree with me because they have a vested interest in it not being a bad year, but interest rates are going up to the highest rate in a very long time. The cash rate, the N2 cash rate, all that cash has started to move from savings into which is causing this rampant inflation. The thing with inflation, to control inflation, you need to raise interest rates above what the rate of inflation is, which they reckon is 7%. Which, yeah, that's maybe inflation is so much higher than that. So it played into our decision making. But what mainly played into our decision making is that I want to productize what we do. So as an agency, it's impossible. The way we were structured, it was impossible to productize the agency to the point where we were doing less hours. So because we were doing so many random jobs, and every website we did was custom, and all our Google Ads were custom, and requires a huge amount of manpower. And basically, every time we took a new project on, we were essentially starting from scratch with everything we had, which is fine, but it's just incredibly stressful. So what we're doing next year is My Online Guy is a foundations first marketing agency. That's all we do. And what that consists of is building the foundations for a business and then becoming a trusted advisor consultant and find people for the next steps. The big thing I discovered when working with pretty much every business that's not fully established is that their foundations are terrible. They don't have analytics set up. They don't have conversion tracking set up. The website's not designed to convert. There's no one channel of consistent inquiry. All the foundations, no one really does that well. So what we've done is we've built out a whole system for businesses to go, okay, well, let's get the foundations right and use that as the base for any marketing. So we get the foundations right. If you want to do SEO in the future, it's just a matter of bolting it onto the side. We're not going to have to redo the website. We're not going to have to redo conversion tracking analytics. It's just a matter of bolting it on the side. What that looks like, it's very productized, and we're fleshing that out next month. But essentially, it's going to be a package that consists of website that's designed to convert, very simple website that's designed to convert, Google Ads, analytics setup and tracking setup, some level of automation from website to lead flow, and then conversion tracking. Essentially, it's a block, and we're going to charge a fixed amount for that, and that's all we're going to offer. And I'm just going to target that audience. To be able to do that means that this 75% of the people in this agency aren't required anymore. It's as simple as that, because it's very specific and very narrow. But the flip side of that is that we've reduced our expenses a lot. We don't need to generate as much revenue. So I suspect we're going to generate significantly less revenue, probably half the revenue we did before, but we're going to be more profitable. And Paulie and I are going to have less stress, and we're going to be working less, and we're going to get better outcomes for people. So we made a very, very big decision to go. We have an agency that, so we were in a position that is very fortunate, where we had the fact that we could choose to do this. Our decision was like, do we stay as a 7-figure agency doing big jobs with quite a decent profile and pivot into something that's a little bit more risk, a little bit less higher profile? Or that decision, right? Very, very good decision, a place to be in, where you can choose to continue to grow and be a massive agency, or pivot into something else. There's a lot of people out there that are forced to do this out of desperation, which is not where we're at. So that played into our decision making as well. The risk with running an agency so large that runs on lower margins is that if the economy shakes in any way and our lead flow, we don't have a huge amount of runway from a cash perspective to keep it going. Whereas us significantly reduce our expenses and making the agency more productized gives us way more cash flow, way larger cash war chest to ride out any bumps in the road. We can go 12 months right now with the agency making minimal revenue and still be okay. Whereas 3 months ago, we made 3 months, and then the agency would have had to fold because our overhead was so high. So next year is going to be different for us. Gives me more time to produce content. It gives me more time to focus on the content, because we're only going to be doing a couple of hours a day. Still got Cam full time. Still got Diane. Paulie and I are only going to be doing a couple of hours a day, so we can spend more time with our kids overseas as well. So bottom line, guys, still going to exist. It's just going to be a very, very hyper-focused, foundations-first marketing agency focused on a very specific subset of marketing for a very specific type of customer. And then I'm also doing consulting as well for people. So that's what that consists of. I think I'm excited for it because it's nerve-wracking because, like I said, we basically burnt the boats on one end and gone, no, we're not going back to what we were forward. But the beauty about myself, I like to think, is we will make it work. So super excited about that. So yeah, that's 2023 for us. It makes me more comfortable because the stress level is reduced. Our exposure to a bad market is reduced. We can focus on messaging better on the customers, and it gives me a bit of time to make a couple of courses too, which is something I've really wanted. A course on Google Ads and a course that I've got brewing in my head for helping businesses turn any internal person into their marketing coordinator. That is desperately needed in the market, and there's just not any courses that are like that. So it gives me a bit of time to do that as well. So got Rianesh. Do you think living a normal life is just being delusional? Because as humans, we are wired to achieve self-transcendence or self-actualization. Or is it just a lack of beliefs that hold people back? Wills, I'm off, Jimmy. Have a good Christmas, brother. See you in the new year. Dude, I'm going to do a couple more live streams. Now that people are asking questions, it's actually quite fun. So this is a great question. Do you think living a normal life is just delusional because humans are wired to achieve self-transcendence and self-actualization? Or is it just a lack of beliefs that hold people back? And they label it, oh, everyone doesn't want to be happy with it, doesn't want to be like in my scenario. Yeah, it's a good question. So essentially what you're asking is like, is there such thing as a normal life? No. I think humans are, some humans, because everyone, but humans are wired for two things. That's stability and tribe and culture. They're the two things humans are actually wired for. So humans want stability because stability creates the ability to reproduce. And as human beings, we're biologically wired for that. Instability reduces the chances of a human being reproducing. And then what I mean by culture is everyone wants to belong to a tribe. Everyone wants to belong and feel like they belong to something, whether that's something bigger or something like them or some kind of family or bonding. That's something people want to make sure they belong to, right? So I'm just blocking this chat here. Again, I've just blocked it. Okay, cool. I don't know if I can delete that. That's right. Anyway, so to answer your question, I personally think living a normal life is delusional. I lived a normal life. I lived a 9 to 5 Australian American dream. I lived it, and I lived it for years. We had money, we had a house, we had boat, car, caravan, toys. We had all that. I think if you're wired for entrepreneurship and you're wired for critical thinking, that isn't enough to satisfy you. And I think that's why there's so many people that have depression, honestly. I was not happy. When I was earning the big bucks at Bogan Machinery, I wasn't happy. I was comfortable. I was happy that I had a healthy relationship with my wife. I was happy I had children, but I wasn't happy, like at peace with myself. And I think there's a lot of people out there that are like that think the goal for them is to get stability. So, because that was the reason I did it, was for stability's sake. I grew up in a broken household. My parents split up when I was very little. So I don't remember them splitting up. My mom's a compulsive gambler. She isn't now, but she was a compulsive gambler when I was a teenager. We grew up incredibly poor. And all I wanted in life was stability. That's everything I've done until that point. The Navy, agriculture, was to create stability in my life. But once I got that stability, I realized that actually it's not what I wanted. I didn't want stability. There's people that can go through the whole life, and I'm very jealous of these people that are super comfortable with just having stability. That's where they get their inner peace, is the fact that they're the kind of people that would have been farmers, in the Oasis. They would have been just happy overlooking a paddock and growing their farm and sustaining themselves and being happy with that. Anyone that's watching this channel is not like that. And having gone all the way to the top and got that stability, all I can say is that it's not the end goal for almost anyone that's watching this or anyone that has an entrepreneurial spark. I still don't know what that end goal is. And the self-transcendence is one thing too. I've explored that. Charlie Imperium is really big on it, and that transcendence and self-realization is important. Self-actualization, I should say. But to what end? To what end do you self-actualize and go, this is me and this is what I'm about? See, with me, that's not it either, because as soon as I had kids, my whole perspective changed on everything. So I still don't necessarily know what inner peace for me looks like. Entrepreneurial and constantly trying to challenge myself and self-learning. I feel like there's going to be no inner peace. I'm gonna be someone that doesn't achieve inner peace and its ability to go, yep, this is what the end goal is for me. Because right now I don't know what the end goal is, and it's what keeps entrepreneurs continuing to grow and continuing to iterate and continuing to evolve. And you think about Elon Musk is a very good example of that. Elon Musk doesn't have inner peace. If he had inner peace, he'd be happy with what he's got, and he would just do that, right? Like, you would think about it. Why would you go and buy Twitter? Why would you start SpaceX? Why would you start Tesla if there wasn't some kind of lack of peace that was driving you to do something else? So I'm kind of at peace at the moment with the fact that I don't have that inner peace, and I'm I get the stability in the fact that the more I learn, the more I educate myself, and the more experience I get, the more stability I create from a financial perspective. That's the only stability I need. I found out is that I take a lot of solace in the fact that I have the ability to produce an income that doesn't require someone else. I can just produce an income from thin air. That gives me a lot of stability, and that's the kind of stability I'm chasing all along. Not the stability of going, oh, someone's giving me money, but I could lose my job anytime. I feel like the more experience I've gotten as a marketer, the more experience I've gotten as an entrepreneur, the more experience I've gotten just as a human being that's 35, has given me more stability in the fact that I know that the income I make or don't make is of my own doing and has nothing to do with anyone else. So if we go broke, it's because of me. If we make money, it's because of me. And when I was in my 20s, that used to scare me a lot because I made a lot more bad decisions. But as I've gotten older, I'm making better decisions. I'm honestly making better decisions, and I make more better decisions than I do bad decisions. And I take comfort in the fact that as I get older, I'm going to hopefully continue to make better and better decisions. I've spoken to a few people like this. Haru is one of them. People don't realize that your 20s is really there to make mistakes. Your only job as a parent, right? Like my only job as a dad is to make sure my kids survive till they're in their 30s. After their 30s, they're an adult. They've got enough, their brain's slowed down enough that they can make educated decisions and stuff. But I think of all the dumb stuff the dumb mistakes I made in my 20s. There's no way I'd make a lot of those mistakes now, knowing what I know, knowing who I am now, who I want to be. But in my 20s, I kind of need to make those mistakes and go through those motions to get to where I am now. So, yeah, it's a really good philosophical question. Don't know if that's the answer, but I think some people really they have inner peace when they have stability. Some people have inner peace when they have chaos, and some people are in between. And I feel like I'm somewhere in between that. So I don't know if that's the question. It was nice to talk about. I've never really spoken about that. So it's nice to have a channel to be able to do that with. So Rahan Tahir, thank you for jumping on the chat. Hard times are coming. 100% they are. I could spend an hour talking about the economy. I'd like to think one of my hobbies is following the macroeconomic climate. That is one of my hobbies. If I'm not watching videos and documentaries about entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship and marketing, I'm watching videos about the economy. And yeah, it's crazy how few people appreciate the tipping point that we're getting close to when it comes to the economy. It really does. A lot of my friends, and some of them may be watching, a lot of my friends are blissfully ignorant of what's around the corner. And that scares me. And what I've learned, and again, this is now that I'm in my 30s, but for context, like 15 years ago, I was a hardcore prepper, survivalist, bunker in the wilderness prepper. I watched a thing called I watched a thing on peak oil, scared the shit out of me. Then I went, I did that for a few years, and I went, actually, all I can do is create an insurance policy for myself against what potentially can happen. And the way you do that is through education and resources. And a lot of what we've been developing now has been so that we are better prepared for what's coming right now. People don't realize how fragile the economy is and how rising interest rates creates an environment of desperation in a lot of people. And when people are desperate, they make bad decisions. And when more people are making bad decisions than good decisions, that's really bad. I feel like we're right there. I feel like interest rates being 7% at the moment in Australia, the cost of living going up simultaneously with that, people having lived and got used to big influxes of money, starting to realize that actually that money's not there. That's when bad decisions are made. The thing with being in marketing and the thing with having a business, service-based business, is that my livelihood depends on people making good decisions as businesses. And when they're making bad decisions as businesses, that directly affects me. So the way I prepare for that, so if anyone's curious, this is how I'm preparing for what's coming in the next year. I'm staying liquid. I've got out of debt. So we have we sold, we have no debt. We were pretty lean on debt anyway, but even the business, no debt. So no debt. We have cash. We have a lot of cash on hand. No debt. The family is prepared. I've mentally prepared my wife for what's coming. The kids have as conscious as they can be at their age they are of austerity and going that things aren't going to be good. And I've also tried to keep a positive mindset about this. There's a lot of negatives to the economy slowing down, but there is a lot of positives that people don't realize. And one of the big positives that people don't realize is that there's going to be so many opportunities to fundamentally change your wealth and your life. You got to think about it, right? Like, I've got friends that have businesses that are in debt to their eyeballs. In 12 months, they may be so hard up against it that they're selling their business for cents on the dollar, and the actual underlying business is still good. They're just making bad decisions. So if I'm there and I'm in a position to take advantage of that, as bad as that sounds, well, then my only job is to ensure the stability of me and my family, and that's it. As much as I'm friends with some of these other people, my job is my job, their job is their job to protect their family. My job is to protect my family. So if I can buy an asset that's significantly decreased in value because of macroeconomic factors that once they're not there anymore should be still a good business, and I can buy it for cents on the dollar, that could be a fundamentally life-changing event for me. Could be a fundamentally life-changing event for you. So my suggestion is that do what you can right now to stay as liquid as possible. Don't buy dumb shoes or cars and boats and shit like that. Don't buy any of that stuff. Just sit on cash. Because trust me when I say, in 12 months, if you go back through history and you see the biggest transfers of wealth have happened, it's in events like this. I remember the story of listening to the Rothschilds, which are big towns. So a lot of people don't realize that the Rothschilds got most of their wealth in one event. And what happened was, in the Napoleonic Wars, there was the Battle of Waterloo, which was a turning point in the war between the French and the English. And what happened is the Battle of Waterloo was fought over several weeks, and the Rothschilds were sending messengers out to the battlefield to try and get an idea of who was winning. And what they did is, like 3 or 4 days before the war ended, the battle ended, they sent runners to England, back to London, telling everyone that the French had won the war. The French had won the battle. And that caused the market to collapse in London because they assumed that after the Battle of Waterloo, London was next. And then the Rothschilds came and bought everything. A big chunk of London is owned by the Rothschilds. And then when people realized that the Battle of Waterloo was won by the English, all the prices went back to the way where they were. It was the single biggest transfer of wealth in human history. That could only happen in a crisis. So we can look at this crisis that's coming as a bad thing because it is. There's going to be a lot of people that are hurting. But if you're smart and pragmatic and you've got the intelligence and you've done enough you've got enough education to understand where the opportunities are, then this can be the single biggest opportunity that you may have in your life to fundamentally change your wealth. And that's the way I look at it. That's why we're sitting on cash. That's why we're reducing our expenses. That's why we're moving overseas. That's why we're making the business smaller. Because sacrifice now for the potential of life-changing amounts of money in 18 months, 2 years, 5 years from now is a sacrifice I'm willing to make. And I think you too. So I don't know if everyone feels like that. I don't know if everyone thinks like that. But that's the plan that we're taking, for better or worse. Worst case scenario, if we prepare like this and the economy doesn't tank, well, we're financially better off anyway. We've learned to live without as much. The business is more efficient. But if it does, it could be a significant change in our life. So Haru says, so when the crash comes, it's right to buy at every. Yeah, of course. if the underlying asset hasn't changed, right? Like, so if it's a very successful business that's doing very well now, and then because of some macroeconomic factor like COVID or some macroeconomic factor like a crash in the economy has affected it, or the borrowing rates have affected it, but the underlying business is still good, then it's still a good business. It just needs the macroeconomic factors to disappear, and disappear they will. They're not going to stay. Economy is not going to stay down and out forever. The economy will recover, and when it does, that asset's going to be worth its true value. And right now, a lot of those values are overinflated. But in a crash and in a downturn, in a depression, that asset is undervalued. So it's about finding those assets and being in a position to buy it when other people can't, because that's when you get the best deals. When there's more supply than there is demand, the price goes down. When there's more demand than there is supply, the price goes up. So, when, everyone's hurting and someone is desperate to sell their business or their boat or anything, is desperate to sell it, that will meet you at the price you want to pay, that you're comfortable paying, because you might be the only person buying. It gives you incredible leverage in the market, and that leverage allows you to buy, to get things that other people can't. So that's what we're doing, right? So sitting on this cash, surviving, and then if some opportunity that comes at ISS is significantly under market value than it should be, I'll buy it, because there may be no one else to buy it. So I can just name my price and they have no choice but to take it. For me, that might be something worth 100 grand, 500 grand, whatever. For you, Harry, that might be something worth a couple of grand. That might be buying a book of clients from an agency for a couple of grand. That might be buying an affiliate site for a couple of grand. It's all relative to your power in the market. But even for you, right? Let's say your net worth is $5,000, right? And you have $2,000 of that in cash. If you were to turn that $2,000 into, say, $20,000, that's a 10x increase in your net wealth. Warren Buffett started with $150,000 in 1954. He made 100x his money up into the 90s. From the 90s to 2000s, he made 10x. 2000s to 2010, he made like 5x, and then it's gone down to 2x. But when you're talking about 100 billion to 200 billion, the multiples need to be less. So for me, a big fundamental life-changing amount of money might be just to double what my net worth's worth now. For you, the beauty about having less money is that the multiples will be bigger, and that multiple being bigger gives you more leverage in the future. So I wouldn't look at buy as the things that decide that. You buy relative to what you can afford. But if you buy something for $2,000 and then sell it for 20 and 5 years later, or have an asset that generates you cash flow every month that you wouldn't have been able to afford right now, well, then you've fundamentally changed your trajectory in life. And that's a big thing, right? So yeah, I think you can look at the economy slowing down as a bad thing. And it is a bad thing. It's going to be hard. It's going to be a lot of pain for everyone, including people that are prepared. But I just take solace in the fact that it's an awesome opportunity to really make some bank and make a fundamental change to your life. So yeah, hopefully that helps people articulate their thoughts, because sometimes it's hard to sit in a room full of successful people and they're all going, no, we're doubling down, we're getting bigger, the market's really good. And you're the only person that thinks the sky's falling, which is my case. Like, you're mad for making the agency smaller. Why are you making the agency smaller? You're making money. Why are you doing this? And I'm like, well, I'm sticking to my convictions. I've done enough research. And I see opportunities probably differently to you. And I see that having an agency that runs low margins is an incredibly risky thing to have right now. Whereas I see a smaller agency that has less overheads as something that's less risky. Not everyone thinks like that, but that's how I see it. So yeah, hopefully that answers some questions. We've gone on for over an hour now. I'm probably going to finish up now. Thank you for everyone that stayed on to the end. It was great to talk to everyone live, because I forgot how much I enjoy doing lives. I used to do them once a week, and then I switched to the Profit Fridays and now live. So guys, thank you so much for jumping on. Hopefully everyone has a good Christmas and a happy New Year and a prosperous New Year. I probably won't be posting too much over the Christmas New Year period, but I'll be back with a vengeance at the start of the new year. So, guys, if I don't see you beforehand, have a safe Christmas and a good New Year.